Good morning, students. Once again, welcome back to the course of concurrent and parallel programming. So today, let us discuss about heterogeneous computing. So in that, let us see what is C++, AMP and OMP CL models. So this video is brought to you by Newton's Group of Institutions, Macharla. This is Arvind Egireddy from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. As we know that in the last few years, computing has entered to the heterogeneous computing era, which aims to bring together in a single device the best of both what can be achieved through central processing units, CPUs, and graphical processing unit, GPUs. So here, the designers, they are creating an increasingly wide range of heterogeneous machines, and hardware vendors are making them broadly available. So this change in the hardware, it offers a great platform for existing new applications. But because the designers are different and classical programming models, they do not work very well. So it is important to learn about the new models such as those in the OpenCL. So here, when the design of the OpenCL standards, the designers, they noticed that for a class of algorithms that were latency focused, developers wrote the code in C or C++ and they ran it on the CPU. But for the second class of algorithms that were throughput focused, example, say matrix multiply. So here developers, they often wrote it in CUDA and used in a GPA. So two related approaches, but each working only one kind of processor. So here C++ did not run on a GPU and CUDA did not run on a CPU. So here the developers, they had to specialize in one and they have to ignore the other. But whereas the real power of the heterogeneous device is that it can be efficiently run applications that mix both the algorithms. So here now my question is how to program such machines? How can we design such machines? So one solution is to add new features to the existing platforms, that is both C++ and CUDA, which are actively evolved in meeting the challenges of the new hardware. And another solution was to create a new set of programming abstracts, especially that are being targeted at heterogeneous computing. And Apple is one company that came up with an initial proposal for such a new paradigm. And this proposal was being refined by the technical teams from many different companies, and they became an OpenCL. So when the design started, it was a privilege to be part of one of those teams. They had a lot of goals for the kernel languages, and they let the developers write kernels in a single source language. Okay, so here what we can say is they allowed those kernels to be functionally portable over the CPUs as well as GPUs, and fill the programmable gate arrays, and they used other sort of devices. And below level set of developers, they could tease all the performance of each and every device. So they kept this model abstract enough so that the same model could work correctly on mechanisms that are being built by lots of companies. Of course, as with any computer project that wanted to do this particular thing very fast, to speed up the implementations, They choose the base of the language. So here the base of the language, what was being chosen on C99. And in less than 6 months, they have produced a specification for OpenCL 1.0. And within 1 year, the first implementation that appeared. And as then time passed, and OpenCL, which met the real developers. So here, what happened is, first the C developers, they printed out all the great C++ features. That is a real memory model, which is atomic, etc. And they made them more productive. And here, the CUDA developers, they pointed out all the new features of NVIDIA that is being added to CUDA. That is, they added the nested parallelism. So that made both programmers, programming very simpler and faster. And secondly, as the hardware architecture explored heterogeneous computing, they figured out how to remove the real restrictions requiring the CPUs and GPUs to have separate memories. Here, one great hardware change that was being developed of integrated devices is which provide both GPU and CPU on the die. And thirdly, here, even though the specifications that were being written with a great care and as though there was a conformance suit, here the implementers of the compilers, they did not always read the specifications in the same way. Sometimes here the same programs could get a different answer on a different device. So here all this been led to a revised and more matured specification, and it was OpenCL 2.0. So here the new specification, that is OpenCL 2.0, which is a significant evolution and which lets the developers take advantage of the new integrated GPU CPU processors. So here the big change that what it included is a shared virtual memory, so that the host and the device code can share the same complex pointer based structures such as trees, linked list, and getting rid of costly data transfer between the host and the devices. They introduce a dynamic parallelism so that the device kernels can launch work on the same device without host interaction, and getting rid of the significant bottlenecks. And the other change is generic address space, so that the single function that can be operated on either GPU or CPU data, so that it makes the programmer very easy. And another change that is being included is C++ style atomics, so that the work items can share the data over the work groups and devices, and which establishes a wide class of algorithms that is being realized in OpenCL. So here, now in this lecture, let us discuss the introduction to OpenCL, either for a class on OpenCL programming or part of class as a parallel programming. And I hope my lecture will also be valuable to the developers who want to learn the OpenCL by their own. So I will try my best to give the basic information on high performance mixing of GPUs and the CPUs. And I request everyone to watch this particular video till the end. And hope it will, if you like my video, please subscribe to my channel, so that it will help you in understanding and learning the OpenCL and build the existing applications of the future. So I will try my best to keep more videos on these OpenCL programming. Now coming to the introduction of heterogeneous computing. Here heterogeneous computing that includes both serial and parallel processing. And with heterogeneous computing, The tasks that comprises on applications that are being mapped to the best processing device that is being available on the system. So here the presence of multiple devices on the system that presents an opportunity for the programmers to utilize concurrency and parallelism and improve the performance and the power. So here open computing language, that is OpenCL, which is a programming language that is being developed specially to support the heterogeneous computing environment. So here to understand many of the existing features that is being provided by the OpenCL 2.0, let us begin with an introduction to heterogeneous and parallel computing. And then let us, we will better position to discuss heterogeneous programming in the context of OpenCL and at the same time C++ AMP. As we know that today's heterogeneous computing environments that are becoming more multifaceted and they are exploring the capabilities of a range of multi-core multiprocessors, central processing unit CPUs, digital signal processors, and reconfigurable hardwares and graphical processing units GPUs. So here presented with so much of heterogeneity, the process of mapping the software task to such a wide array of architecture process, which possesses a number of challenges to the programming community. So here heterogeneous applications, they commonly include a mix of workload behaviors. So that is a range from control intensive, like searching, sorting, and parsing, to data intensive, that is image processing, simulation and modeling, data mining. And even some tasks, they can also be characterized as compute intensive, like iterative models or numerical methods and financial modeling. So here, where the overall throughput of the task is heavily dependent on the computational efficiency of the underlying hardware device. So here each of these workload classes, they typically execute more efficiency on the specific style of hardware architecture. And there is no single device which is best for running all classes of workloads. So here, for instance, say control intensive applications, they tend to run faster on superscalar CPUs, where the significant die of realistic has been devoted to a branch of prediction mechanisms, whereas the data intensive applications, they tend to run faster on vector architectures, whereas the same operations which when applied to multiple data items and multiple operations that are being executed in parallel. So here in this particular channel, if you subscribe, I will upload more interesting videos on the topics every week from now. So we can see the major changes in the OpenCL 2.0 standards, and let us also look into a broader class of applications. And I will try to address the need for teaching the parallel programming on concurrent system architectures by using OpenCL as a target language. And I will also try to include the examples for CPUs, GPUs, and their integrations in the accelerating processing unit. And I will also try to provide you with more content so that it can guide the programmers to develop well-designed programs in OpenCL target parallel systems. So here, let us go through the various abstractions and the features that is being provided by OpenCL programming environment. So now, before that, let us try to understand what is heterogeneous computing. Why there is a need for heterogeneous computing. As we know that high-level programming languages and domain-specific languages, they can often benefit from an increased power of efficiency of heterogeneous computing. Of course, however, it should not require the compiler writers for these languages to deal with vendor-specific particulars across the graphical processing unit, GPU platforms, and the complexity of generating code for them. So here, instead of OpenCL itself can serve as a compiler target to a portable code generator at a runtime management. So here, by using the OpenCL as a target platform, compiler writers, they can focus on more important and high-level problems in language implementation. So here, such improved productivity can enable a proliferation. So here, the proliferation of high-level programming languages for heterogeneous computing systems. So in this lecture, let us also see C++ accelerated massive parallelism, that is C++ AMP, that is a parallel programming extension to C++, as an example to show how efficient the OpenCL code can be generated from a high-level programming model. So here, the C++ language that provides several high-level developer-friendly features that are missing from OpenCL. So these high-level features that support software engineering practices to improve the developers' productivity. So it is the compiler writer's job to translate these features in the OpenCL constructs without incurring an excessive level of overhead. So here, let us discuss some important implementation techniques in this particular translation process. For compiler writers interested in mapping other than programming models to OpenCL, and these implementation techniques that can be useful too. So let us start with the brief introduction of C++ AMP and a simple vector addition application, which will serve as the running example. So with this example, the subsequent section which illustrates how C++ AMP features are mapped to OpenCL. So here, the actual working implementation, which consists of compilers and a set of header files and a running library, which together are publicly accelerated as an OpenCL source project. So here, C++ AMP, which is a programming model that supports expressive data parallelism algorithms in C++, and compared with other GPU programming models such as OpenCL and CUDA, C or C++ AMP. So here, the C++ AMP that encapsulates many low-level details of the data movement so that the program that looks more concise. But of course, it still contains the features to let the programmers address different system details for performance of optimization. So here, developers initially by Microsoft and released in Virtual Studio 2012, C++ AMP is defined as an open specification. And based on these open source C language and LLVM compilers infrastructure, Microware has published a CLAMP. So here, a C++ AMP implementation which targets OpenCL for GPU programs, and it runs on Linux, Mac operating systems, and that supports all major GPU cards from vendors such as AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA. So here we can say C++ AMP, which is an extension to the C++ 11 standards. And besides some C++ header files which defined classes for modeling the data parallel programming algorithms, it adds 2 additional rules to that particular C++ programming language. So here the first one specific additional language restriction for the functions to be executed on the GPU, and the second one allows the cross-thread data sharing among the GPU programs. So here C++ accelerated massive parallelism, C++ AMP, that accelerates execution of C++ code by taking advantage of data parallel hardware such as graphical processing units, GPUs, on a discrete graphics card. And by using this C++ AMP, we can code multi-dimensional data algorithms so that the execution can be accelerated by using parallelism on heterogeneous hardware. And the C++ AMP programming model that includes a multi-dimensional arrays, indexing, memory transfer, tilting, and mathematical function libraries. So we can use C++ AMP language extensions to control how the data is being moved from the CPU to the GPU and back, so that we can improve the performance. So for that, we must have some basic system requirements. So here the basic system requirements, what we must have is, we must have Windows 7 or later versions. So we must have Windows Server 2008 R2 or later versions. DirectX 11 features level 11.0 or later hardware. And for debugging on the software in emulators, Windows 8 or Windows Server 2012, which is required. And for debugging on the hardware, we must install the drivers for our graphics card. And for that, we can get the more information. We have to go for CPU debugging GPU code. So here we have to note that AMP is currently that is being not supported on ARM64. So now coming to the introduction part of C++ AMP. So here the following two examples that illustrates the primary components of C++ AMP, which assumes that we want to add the corresponding elements of two one-dimensional arrays. For example, we might want to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to obtain 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. So here, without using C++ AMP, we might write the following code. So this is the code without using C++ AMP. So here the following code that is adding the numbers and displaying the result. So here if you see this particular program, this is a simple C++ program. So here the important parts of this code are data part, iteration part, and index part. So here the data which is consisting of 3 arrays, A CPP, B CPP, and some CPP. And all these have the same rank, that is 1, and whose length is 5 because it is holding 5 elements. And in the next part we are doing iteration. So here using the for loop we are doing the iteration. So here the first for loop which provides a mechanism for iterating through the elements in that particular array, and the code that we want to execute to compute its sums, which is contained in the first for loop. And here we are using the index. If we can see, we are using the index. So here the index variable that assesses the individual element of that particular array. And the same program by using C++ AMP and by using C++ AMP, if we write the code, it is something like this. So here also the same basic elements are present, but here the C++ AMP constructs are used. Here also you are having data, you are doing iterations using indexing. So here coming to the data part, we use C++ array to construct 3 C++ AMP array view objects. And here we supply 4 values to construct an array view object. And the data values, the rank, the element type, and the length of the array view object in each dimension. So in each and every thing we are supplying 4 values. So to construct an array view object, we are supplying 4 values. One is the data value we are supplying. We are supplying the rank, the element type, and the length of the array view object in each and every dimension. So here the rank and type are being passed as an type parameters, and the data and the length are passed as an constructor parameters. So here in this example, the C++ array that is being passed to the construction as a constructor as an one-dimensional, and the rank and length are being used to construct the rectangular shape of that particular data in the array view object. And here we are using the data values which are used to fill the array. So here the runtime libraries that are being also included in the array class, which has an interface that resembles the array view class, and that what we will discuss later in the later stage. Now coming to the iteration part. So here the parallel for each function, that is C++ AMP, which provides a mechanism for iteration through the data elements or compute the domain. So in this particular example, the compute domain is specified by sum.extent. So here the code that what we want to execute is containing a lambda expression or a kernel function. So this restricts the AMP, that indicates that only the subset of C++ languages, that C++ AMP can be accelerated and is being used. Now coming to the index part. So here the index class variable IDX, which is being declared with the rank of 1 to match the rank of an array view object, and by using this particular index we can access the individual elements of that particular array view object. So here shaping and indexing the data, that is index and extent, index and extent. So here we must define the data values, and we have to declare the shape of the data before we can run the kernel code. So all data is being defined to be an array, that is which is a rectangular, and we can define the array to have a rank, that is the total number of dimensions, and the data can be any size in any of the dimensions. Now coming to this particular index class, the index class which specifies the location in the array of array view object by just encapsulating the offset value from the origin in each dimension into an object, into of course into one particular object. So when we access a location in the array, we pass an index object to the indexing operator. So here, instead of listing the integer index, we can access the elements in each dimension by using array double colon operator. So here we are writing array double colon operator. So operator, or we can use the array view operator function as operator. So here this particular example that creates a one-dimensional index that specifies the third element in one-dimensional array view object. And the index is used to print the third element in the array view object so that the output will be equal to 3. Okay, so I hope you understood this particular example. Now coming to the debugging of a C++ AMP application. So this a particular topic that demonstrates how to debug the application that uses the C++ accelerated massive parallelism, that is C++ AMP, to take the advantage of graphics processing unit. So here it uses a parallel reduction program that sums up large arrays of integers, and this walkthroughs the which illustrates several tasks, and those several tasks are discussed here. So here launching the GPU debugger, inspecting the GPU threads in the GPU thread window, and using the parallel stack window to simultaneously observe the call stacks of multiple GPU threads, and by using the parallel watch windows to inspect the values for a single expression across multiple threads at the same time, and by flagging, freezing, throwing, and grouping of GPU threads, and executing all the threads of the tile to a specific location in that particular code. So here we can say that heterogeneous computing that refers to a system which uses more than one kind of processor or cores to maximize the performance or energy efficiency. So here the processor that incorporates specialized processing capabilities to handle a particular task. And heterogeneous architecture, it breaks away from the traditional evolutionary process what we have. So here the evolutionary processor design paths, traditional evolutionary process design paths what we have, it is going to break. So heterogeneous architecture which breaks away from the traditional evolutionary processor design path, which by posting new challenges and opportunities in high performance computing. So here heterogeneous computing will continue to add many core and hardware features such as transactional memory, random number generator, scatters, gatters, wider single instruction multiple data, advanced vector extensions. So here it is ensuring the synergies with the big data and mobiles and graphics market. So here it has a potential to achieve greater energy efficiency, of course, by combining the traditional processors with unconventional cores such as customer logic, field programmable gateways, general processing graphics, general purpose graphics processing units, GPUs. So here, instead of using just a single CPU or GPU, heterogeneous architecture that adds an application specific integrated circuits or FPGAs to perform highly dedicated processing tasks, and heterogeneous architectures that achieves the performance gain by using the parallelism instead of clock frequency. So please subscribe to my channel so that every week I will upload new videos related to OpenGL and C++ AMP. How we can massively achieve heterogeneous computing architectures. So that's all for now. Thank you very much for patiently listening to my class. Thank you.